Welcome to The Voiceover with your host, Dee Foster III, where we discuss relevant topics that affect the culture with bold, independent commentary. Get ready to be inspired, enlightened, and encouraged.
What's up, y'all? Come on in. It's Friday. Like, share, subscribe, follow. I'm your host, Dee Foster III, CEO and President of Wake Up Global Networks International. And I'm saying thank you so much. I hope you had a great week. We're going to get into some things. Before you get started, I want to say thank you for all of your love, all of your support. I want to say thank you for sharing this. Send this link right now in your contacts. If you like it straight, no chaser. It's Friday. Come on, y'all. Most of you ain't got to get up and go nowhere tomorrow. So you can lean back, whether you in a happy hour, whether you on the train coming home, whether you in the gym. We going to get into some stuff. Lessons in Power Part 4. But before we get into all of that good stuff, I want to ask you, go to the website, www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com, www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com, and see all that we are doing. And if you feel generous, or if you are being blessed, or if you want to sow seed, or if you want to plant charity, however you put it, there's a donate button on the website, or there's a QR code on the screen. We are a tax-exempt organization, and we would love to have your support to help us do what we do in our community. You can see all of that on the website. We're getting ready for our Mother's Day Shiro Challenge. We have so many things coming up on Resurrection Sunday, but you got to go to the website or follow us on our social media pages that are on the bottom of the screen. Before we get started, I'm waiting for a few of you to come on in. Come on in. Come on in the room. Come on. I want you to hit that subscribe. I want you to hit that like. I want you to push. Listen, enough of y'all are not hitting these likes. Now you're looking, right? We look at the analytics. You're viewing, but you're not subscribing. Why aren't you subscribing? If you love conscious content like the Voiceover Now, like the Voice of Hope Connection that we host every Sunday morning, the live upload at 7 a.m. is to give you inspiration for the week. Come on. And if you love the other content on this channel, now I personally know April J. Shout out to April J., owner of WPB Media. She will only permit conscious content on this channel. That's why this channel was started, to bring information, entertainment, knowledge, but have fun, but educate people. And that's what we try to do on our podcast and on the Voice of Hope Connection and all of the other shows. So let me ask you a question. Why are you not hitting the likes? Why are you not hitting the likes? Why are you not hitting the likes? We see the analytics. You watch. Why are you not subscribed to the channel? Why? I got questions. So I want you to share this. I want you to like it. I want you to follow us. Go to our website again to get all of the information. I am so excited. Now this is part number 4. Now, are you ready? Because it really gets interesting. I've been talking, and if you're looking for the first time, I want to say welcome into this place. In Chiwe, I want to say welcome. My prescribed podcast is to educate. Mine is, I'm going to always, even in the cultural stories, the spiritual stories, the political stories, my responsibility is to bring education and to bring awareness. So I'm not just podcasting to give out information. I do very few reactionary videos because, again, I'm always want to point out spiritual principles that, yes, we can have fun. Yes, we're going to entertain. You know you're going to be entertained, don't you? Like to share this. You know you're going to learn. But I want to introduce, because this is who I am, introduce spiritual principles to make our life better. Not just to laugh, not just to have fun, but to also learn and be equipped with knowledge and how to navigate through what can be, and Drake is finding out, a somewhat difficult life. And so we've been in a series called Lessons in Power. And we've been using Drake just as a model of what not to do when it comes to power. And so I'm not going to go back because your time is valuable. I know you have a short attention span, and I don't want you tuning me off. And I don't want you saying, oh, I'll look at the rest later, because you won't look at the rest later because so many things are fighting for your attention. So while I have you, I want to keep you, but I don't want to keep, I'm going to be like the Kardashian. I'm not going to hold you long. Y'all like that? Like this, share this, subscribe, and follow. So we've been using Drake as a teaching moment, because now, as you know, and go back and watch parts 1, 2, and 3. Go back and watch parts 1, 2, and 3, that Drake has filed a lawsuit. Now, since we met last week, that UMG, his record label, one of the biggest record label that exists, has responded. Now, I'm not going to get into that. This subject is being discussed. Let me make this clear all across the internet. I'm not jumping on a bandwagon, because I believe my approach to this subject is very different. Most people are reacting to the lawsuit, reacting to Drake's initial suit. Then this week, everybody is doing a reaction video on UMG's response. I'm taking a little bit of different approach. Mine is lessonatory. You like that word, lessonatory, to give a lesson in power, and how I believe, from my experience in leadership over the years, that Drake has drastically violated the laws of power, and will live and is living to regret it. So this is Lessons in Power, part number 4. Lessons in Power. And if I had to put like a little title to it, spoiled beef, because this is where this starts. This lawsuit starts with a spoiled beef, when a beef went wrong between him and Kendrick. But I went all the way back, and I left off last week talking about his dealings and his alleged involvement with XXXTentacion, who was murdered in 2018. Now, I'm not going to go over all that history, but where I left off is saying that because Drake's name was mentioned in the initial trial, and XXX, as I said last time, said in a post that if I am unalive, if I'm murdered, then you know Champagne Papi, which was Drake's online Twitter name at that time, has done it. Now, of course, they get to the trial, and of course, Devon Andrews, I think his name is, was accused of being one of the murderers. He was arrested along with 2 others. So Drake's name comes up in the initial trial. But as I said on last week, Drake was sent a summons. Now, come on, if any of our name, God forbid, if someone was murdered and they mention, if I happen to be killed, then you know X, Y, and Z did it. Isn't it almost 100% chance, whether X, Y, and Z did it or not, that they're going to be summoned, and they're going to be put on the stand, and they're going to be questioned? Right, exactly. So Drake's name comes up in the trial because Drake, they go back to this post that XX had made, saying that if something happens to him, then it's Drake, right? Because they had been in a terrible beef. And I went over that last week. XX felt like Drake stole some of his convergences relative to his songs when he was in jail. And X just goes on a rampage, excuse me, blasting Drake, even blasting his mama, which I felt was he broke the rules there. You don't bring the children, you don't bring the mama into the beef game, right? So, I mean, it really got nasty before XX died between Drake and X. X was just going off. I mean, you know, he felt like he was wrong. Drake could at least mention him. Drake could at least gave him credit. And, you know, Drake has been in the past guilty of stealing lyrics and artists and tunes and convergences. This is not the first time, but for some reason, and maybe because he was locked up and he had nothing, he felt really he really felt like he was taken advantage of by Drake, and X went off. And this sparked an intense beef, almost to the point, to give you some history, that the day X in 218 was murdered, it is alleged that some Drake associates were on X's street tormenting him, threatening him, right? So that's just to give you a little bit of background. So let's go up, speed up. So we're in the trial, and Devon Adams, I believe is his name. Forgive me if it's not, but I believe it's Devon Adams. A lawyer points out the fact that, wait a minute, there's another possible person involved in this case, because it had been alleged, like this, share this, subscribe, that Drake was financing it. Body bags for Louis bag. You go on the lyrics. That's what they used with Young Thug. The prosecution used a lot of the lyrics. That's why artists have to be very mindful when they're engaging in beef and they're angry and they put certain threats in lyrics, because that can come back to haunt you if something happens in a trial, like it did on Young Thug and like it did with XXX when it comes to Drake. But anyway, moving forward. So Drake's name is mentioned in the trial by one of the accused. I believe it's Andrews, one of the accused. And so initially they say, let's summons Drake, which anybody would do, whether he's guilty or not. We at least have the responsibility, because his name comes up, to question him. So they send Drake a subpoena. As it is alleged, Drake never responds to the subpoena. Drake never shows up in court. As a matter of fact, the people who delivered the subpoena said in court that when they gave the subpoena to Drake's henchmen or whoever represents Drake at his house, they kicked the subpoena down the street. Now, that's just total disrespect and arrogance. But Drake is going to learn a lesson in humility before this is all over, right? So anyway, the judge says, yes, subpoena Drake. Now, you got to remember, like I said last time, Drake at this time is connected to a team, to Power, one of the most powerful organizations on the planet. And even when I get into this, even in other continents, because how can I say this? See, Bible says this, Drake had a problem. Drake didn't understand what the Bible says. The Bible says no man or woman or person goes to war. A legal battle is a war, regardless. It's a war. It's a war. One side against the other, without sitting down first with counsel. Power has counsel. Sitting down with counsel, counting the cost, whether they have sufficient enough to finish. Now, that depends, if we're talking about the natural, who you're going up against. Because let me help you understand something with Power. The faces that you see are very seldom the ones in power. Because everybody's been claiming that Lucien Gray, and he's a very powerful man, and I'm going to get to that. I got so much to get to. You know what? It's just helping you understand. I don't want to skip. I don't want to be reactionary. I want to walk you through this and hopefully you're taking nuggets out of this. Lucien Grange, yes, is a very, very, very extremely powerful man, right? So we give him that. We give Lucien that. But Lucien is the face of power. Now, Lucien has power, unlike Drake. Drake has influence, and there's a difference. And see, this is where I think Drake got really contorted, that you will go up against your own own label, your own daddy. Is Lucien gave you, you signed in 222 for almost $500 million contract, the biggest in history. Come on, who has deceived you? Now, I'm not saying being taken advantage of. I'm saying that I believe there was a better way than to go to war, because that's what a lawsuit is. You went to war with your own label, fool, while you're still signed to them. You didn't sit down with counsel. And if you did, you didn't sit down with the right counsel. But you're about to learn something about power. Now, so Drake in 218, when his name is thrown out in this case, now you got to understand, at that point, Drake is a money machine to UMG. They cannot afford. Now, I'm not alleging UMG interrupted, but I'm just putting it out there for you to think and show you how power can work. So Drake's name is put out there. At this point, Drake is at the top of his game. Drake is loved by everybody. You can't turn on Spotify without seeing Drake's picture, iTunes app. I mean, Drake is everywhere. You can't turn on the radio without hearing a Drake song. Him and Lucien, his daddy, they are like Lucien said, I give Drake, when Drake say he need more money, give me a daddy like that. He said, when Drake say he needs more money, I get it to him. Now, how many people can have it said like that? Can you say that? Is there somebody who say, if you say I need some money, they get it to you? I doubt it. Maybe so. Maybe so. But you know, that. So in other words, Drake was fixed. Now, the reason Lucien said that is because Drake was making Universal money. Universal owned Drake. They own his catalogs. They got half of his endorsements. I mean, this is the deal he signed, but he got almost $500 million up front. All right? Drake had 3 mansions. Drake had private planes. I want to paint the picture of how vastly Drake has a problem understanding power, right? So his name comes up. While he's all of this that I just talked about, his name comes up in a criminal trial. Universal Music can't have this. Universal Music is very powerful. Lucien Grange is powerful. But let me say this. As powerful as Lucien is, he's the face of power, but there are invisible, we call it shadow power, that are more powerful than Lucien, connected. And did he learn this? To banks and foreign lands and even to the World Bank, right? And I'm going to bring some of that information in, but I'm setting the tone to understand. Don't ever be deceived by thinking the face of power is the ultimate power, because there are always what we call puppet masters, kingmakers behind the scenes, telling, moving, players on the chessboard through the hands of the faces of power. So what I would say is, one of the reasons Lucien is so powerful, and he is the CEO of Universal Music, the biggest music company that I know of, is because Lucien is answerable to another power organization, and I don't have that name, BOLLATON, I believe it is, but I want to bring that information in later, but I'm setting the tone. Before a man or woman goes to war, sit down with counsel and count the cost. So Drake is not only going to war with Universal, he's not only going to war with Lucien, but he's going to war with those who are above Lucien and empower Lucien. Don't ever make the mistake of thinking the faces that you see are the real sources of power, because real power very seldom shows themselves. They always have representatives. All right? Like this, share this. So Drake is named in the 218 murder case for XXXTentacion. Mysteriously, the judge who first said, yes, we can summons Drake, who says, yes, Drake needs to come to trial, does a 360. Wonder why? Wonder how? And says, you know what, counsel? All of those witnesses that you thrown out, they good to go. Not Aubrey Graham. He does not have to appear in court. He does not have to come to trial. Wow. That is unheard of. And Andrew's lawyer said something was very fishy about that because if nothing else, we're not saying Drake is guilty, but if nothing else, it's due process to have Drake come in, even though he's a celebrity, nobody's above the law, right? Right? To come in and question him. But that did not happen. All right? So the three men are convicted, 218, and are sentenced to life for first-degree murder and armed robbery. Now, zupa, fast forward. 2000, almost a year ago, 2024 May, the subtitle is When Beef Spoiled Beef. There's a rap battle. Now, rap battles are nothing new. That's a part of the game. You had Nas and Jay-Z going hard. You had 50 and Ja Rule, 50 Obliviated. You had Pac and Biggie. Come on. And now, May 2024, you have Kendrick and Drake. The root of this lawsuit is a rap battle, spoiled beef. Drake filed a lawsuit basically because, I believe, he lost a rap battle. Now, that was in UMG's response to the lawsuit that I'm not going to get into. That's not in my scope of power. But 224, they go hard. I did a audio podcast on this. And matter of fact, Drake's, see, don't start nothing you can't finish, Aubrey Graham. So I remember, because I was into this at this time, so this is when I jumped into it, understand that there had been beef between Drake and Kendrick for years, but this is when it got my attention when the lyrics started coming out. Yeah, keep the XXX Tentacion case, because I'm coming back to that. I'm coming back to that in 2024, from 18 to 2024, because this case, there's an appeal in this case, the XXX Tentacion case, and Drake is involved. All right, so we're going somewhere. Like, subscribe, share. And I know you can hear this on other channels, but I believe I have a different perspective that I'm presenting, right? So Drake and Kendrick last summer went hard. Meet the Grams. They're not like, you heard it all. But in one of Kendrick's songs, and I remember when the beef started, Kendrick was not responding. I remember Drake pushing him because Kendrick, wise man, would not react to Drake's diss tracks. And I think Drake wanted the beef, as UMG says in their motion to dismiss the lawsuit. Because I think Drake signed up for a kitchen that was hot that he wasn't prepared to cook in. And see, Kendrick is from the West Coast. So those beefs are common in the West Coast. Kendrick is lyrical. So moving forward, Drake loses by mostly everybody's estimation. Drake is just slaughtered in this rap beef. And as a result of, in my opinion, being a bad sport, being egotistical, being that spoiled child of Lucien Grange that used to getting what he wants when he wants it, not taught that part of life is taking L's. That's part of life. Come on. This is unprecedented. First of all, this is unprecedented. To sue for defamation by what's been said in a rap. You're the one who alluded in the rap battle that Kendrick abused his girlfriend, now wife. You're the one who said, which is really crossing the line, that Kendrick's child was by one of his associates in the industry. Now, how much more defamation can you get? How much more inflammatory can you get to say that my child is not my child and that I am a woman abuser? All right, it's all in the beef. Fine. So now we come up to They're Not Like Us. I was in the gym. I will never forget the day that broke. And I was listening to the lyrics on The Morning Hustle with Cal and L'Oreal. And I'm listening and I'm like, ding, Kendrick went in. I said, I gotta hear that again. And it sounded like he called him a PD file. Wait a minute, let me go listen to that again. It sounds like you're indicating he likes a minor. Let me listen to that again. And then I heard Kendrick say, now, if you want to go deeper, I know more that's going on in the industry. Here is when Lucien steps in, because remember, Lucien was in a lawsuit in Universal brought by Rodney Jones, who used to work for P. Diddy, who claimed that Universal and Lucien were aware of P. Diddy's abuses, but it wasn't too long that they were dropped from that lawsuit. So Lucien, hearing Kendrick say, Drake, you want me to go further into what's going on in the industry? Watch this. First violation, not the first, but another violation of power. Allegedly, Lucien tells Drake, call off the beef. This is getting nastier, and it's going to lead to places that we don't need it, in his opinion, to lead to. Drake ignored Lucien. Now Drake is deceived at this point. That's your daddy. You have, and for all intents purposes, what you have because of Lucien. At this point, you have favor with Lucien. But at the point of your arrogance and at the point of your nonchalantness towards Lucien's counsel, you violate power, and now your favor. That's why I said I got a different approach to this, because I'm going to always add spiritual principles into what I do. It's beginning. How many of y'all know people like that? Their arrogance. All he said is, listen, this about to get serious. This about to open up some stuff we don't need open in the industry. Cut it, Drake. And all Drake had to do was humble himself, keep making music, stay on top, keep getting money anytime he asked Lucien. But your ego wouldn't let you, and you continued in a battle that you're not going to ultimately win. So he didn't stop the beef. As a matter of fact, he goes on in January, I told you I'm bringing you up, to file a lawsuit against Lucien Grange. Say it ain't so. Say you're not that ignorant. And Universal, alleging that Universal used bots and paid streams to boost Not Like Us, to ruin Drake's reputation and to hurt his brand. Drake. Like this, share this, subscribe. Wow, what a violation of power. Bro, you slipping. You're making a colossal mistake. One that you will never, ever, ever ever recover from. So he sues his daddy. He sues the company in January. And then a few months later, there's an appeal by Devontae Andrews in the XXXTentacion case. After the lawsuit, saying we have an appeal because we don't feel we got a fair trial in 218. Wait a minute, and I'm almost finished. Wait a minute. This sleeping dog has been lying, sleeping since 218. 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 years. And you mean after 7 years, ironically, after Drake files a lawsuit against Universal, there's an appeal? And Devontae's lawyer went on record for the appeal, listing all of the reasons why they believe they did not get a fair trial. And again, Drake's name mysteriously comes up again. After Drake files a horrible lawsuit against Universal, thinking that Universal put Kindred up to it. Now, some people allege he did this because he wants to get out of his contract. I don't know. I don't really believe that's the reason. I believe that Drake was on some ego trip. Drake believed his own press. That's what you got to watch out for. Believe in your own press. People will make you think you're something when you're not. There's a difference between influence and power. Drake had the influence, but he never had the power, because power is money. Power is connections. Drake existed because of a power base, and he forgot. I call it Negro amnesia. Like this, share this, subscribe. And as a result, Drake's name is back. And now it's being alleged that Drake may have had something to do, or at least put the bounty on XXXTentacion's head. Now, my question is, as I close, why? After 7 years, how did his name mysteriously disappear from the witness list in 218? And how did this case mysteriously surface in 224, several months after Drake files a lawsuit against one of the most powerful companies that exists, because they have ties to bigger companies in Africa and other continents? Did Drake know that? Did Drake know that when he bit the hand of Lucien, he was not only biting Lucien's hands, but he was biting the hands of those who feeds Lucien, and biting the hand of those that feed Lucien? Did Drake know that? Did Drake know he went to war against more than Universal? Did Drake know that he went to war with more than Lucien? That he went to war with everybody that Lucien is connected to? Probably not. That's why he should look at the Voice Over Now podcast. This is a lesson in power. And I'm talking about Drake because everybody knows Drake and he's our object lesson. I'm not picking on Drake, but we know people who have made the same mistakes in their life and end up where Drake is about to be. Like, share, subscribe, follow. I'm not finished with this. Hopefully I'll finish up next week. Don't forget, go to our website, www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com, www.wakeupglobalnetworks.com. Don't forget, Sunday morning, the Voice of Hope Connection, 7 a.m. Or you can watch it on the replay like you can. If you just join in today, go back to parts 1, 2, and 3 where I lay the foundation. That's why I lay foundation, so people that come in can come in with a clear understanding. We got part 5 on next week. Hopefully I'll finish it, but you see all of these nuggets I'm pulling out? I'm pulling out truths that will help us better our life, master life, excel in life, and grow in life, and not destroy our life because we go to war with powers that we cannot stand up against. Until next week, this is D. Foster III reminding you, you have a voice.
Thank you for being a part of The Voiceover. Please follow us on all of our social media platforms to stay connected to our upcoming shows and guests. Instagram at The Voiceover Radio. Twitter at DPropheticI. That's the letter D, prophetic, EYE. If this show has enriched you in any way, please share The Voiceover among your circle. Until next time, keep allowing your voice to be heard.